to get a spit. Welcome to Friday, where I get Chris' spit take. That is the new goal of our marketing. How many spit takes does it take? Cool. Welcome. It's definitely a small but fierce crew today. Let me pass along the agenda. It looks like most people are in there. We took a break last week, so I'm sure we'll have to wake up our brains a little bit. But ideally we can kind of, I've got a little bit of a proposal to show people that I want to sneak into the agenda. Talk through kind of where we're at. It connects into the bots in progress, but kind of a vision for communication on the team. I said I'd get a draft together, and I've got the draft of the draft coming along. Hey, Keslin. Proposal, draft of comms. Anyone else have items to add to the agenda before we get rolling?
I do have one bolt tossed on there.
Yeah, please.
Oh, what you got?
I think I'll toss something on there too.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah, I need
kind of like sections wise.
Well.
Yeah, let's do this.
You want me to put it above yours, Matt, or below yours?
Sure.
Perfect answer.
Yeah, go above. That's great.
Okay. I always feel like I have to put my first and last name just because there's so many Chris's in the world. I work with 3 of them.
Yeah, I mean, generic 80s to 90s names for the win here.
Mm-hmm. Chris, Matt, Bob.
Yish and Kaslin are like, you missed out.
Yeah.
My first name is actually Emily, so.
Oh.
I didn't know that.
Okay, then yeah, you were like right in the sweet spot.
Yeah. Kaslin is my middle name. So
well,
I had both.
On your part.
I switched in high school, so I know that people from high school and earlier call me Emily, and anyone from after calls me Kaslin.
Oh,
honestly,
cool.
you're the only Kaslin that I know.
Yeah.
Shocking. My dad made it up, so.
Oh,
that's awesome. All the more reason to use it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so no shame for getting it wrong. It's not a real thing.
You willed it to be. It's very
creative.
Very cool. Awesome. All right. Well, let's start from the top. Normally like to celebrate things that have come in the meantime, things that give us some excitement and remind us why we're doing this for fun and not for profit. So if anyone has big wins or stuff in mind, I can't think of anything that we've launched or released or found out about recently. So,
I mean, Kaslin's been killing it with the tweets. So shout out to Kaslin.
Nice. Yeah. What's the K8's contributor?
Also, Rajula for putting all the tooling together. Yeah. So like.
Yeah, that's a perpetual win.
I mean, just continuing win.
Yeah, I'd say.
Shout out.
Also,
tweet for the week is going to go out in like 20 minutes. So.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. Thanks, Kathleen, for getting the APAC tweet out. We did get we didn't get new people in, but couple of old timers. They remembered, okay, this meeting still exists, and they came in. So that was
good.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, we continue to do that, and some, change it up a little bit every once in a while. You'll get new people.
See,
there was a comment on the tweet of someone who tried to join, and they said that they joined the mailing list and didn't see the code to get into the Zoom or something.
Okay, so we have not actually rolled that out to Contribex yet. That is essentially my plan to hit everything this weekend.
Nice.
So I didn't know how to respond to that. I was like, I should really reply to this. They said joined the mailing list, couldn't find the invite.
Oh, invites actually take it's slow for them to go out.
Okay.
So sometimes it can literally take like 24 hours before you get a mailing list invite.
Okay.
Oh,
Maybe
there
that's
you go.
something that we should take into consideration as we tweet about SIG meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
ahead of time.
I thought that I would probably put the Zoom link directly, but I wasn't feeling comfortable with putting the Zoom link on Twitter.
No.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Please.
that's a
Dear God, do
Yeah.
not. No.
The
Yeah.
other thing that you can always refer people to is we now have the calendar.
Hmm.
The Kubernetes
So-
Community Calendar is the
So
name of it.
here, one
Yeah.
sec. Kates.dev/calendar. So you can refer people to that, and you can you can't like filter by SIG, but you can see.
You can search it, find it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And if they click it, it'll take them to that exact invite or that
Oh,
exact
nice.
event.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
That's cool.
That's neat.
I like
Cool.
that.
We're talking.
Good job. How did we do that?
Huh?
And what is doing that in the background?
It is a JavaScript library that
Okay.
is hitting the Google Calendar API.
Nice. I'll have to
Oh,
check
that
out.
reminds me, I need to change out the API key because it's using my personal one.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Like I remind you. Whoops.
It's still domain restricted, so it only works from the contributor website. So I'm not worried about it like leaking out. It's just like
yeah.
it's yeah.
Separation of church and state. Yeah.
Yeah. Keys in the wrong ignition.
Oh gosh.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm always happily surprised, or not surprised, but just it's always happy to like reflect on things that we've done recently and realize like, oh wow, we've made some huge progress and kind of connected dots across not just Kubernetes but across regions of Kubernetes, which is Piyush, thank you for holding that flag, and Kaslin for spanning the gap there. That's awesome. Cool. All right. Normal routine look throughs, what's going on with the editorial in progress. We've kind of been quiet on the storytelling front. I personally haven't done anything, and I think that's okay. I think we've been focused on operationalizing communications, which is definitely my interest. We're happy to support other people writing, but yeah, things kind of stalled out there. Anything I missed? Nope. Okay. Bots in progress. We know that both the bots launched, the Twitter bot and the Slack admin bot, and then there's the addition to the Twitter bot to be able to schedule things that we've got a presentation on last week, but we don't have the lead on that here today, so we'll just move right along. And release team needs shadow for comms for 120. Chris, take it away. What's going on there?
So I am on the release team as a shadow for comms this cycle, and the whole premise was to help figure out how to connect the release team to this team. So getting those like points automated, because they do a release blog post every time, they do all these things every time, and it'd be nice, I mean, we are the blog writing people, if we could take that over for them, kind of thing, to an extent, right? But I don't know.
One minor correction. We're not the blog writing people. What's cool,
right? Yeah. But like,
is a blog sub team in Docs, and we're just here to help support good storytelling and make sure the blog isn't just published and that's where it ends. That we pick up the blog and then it gets cascaded. And
so the blog sub team, we don't write blogs. We are just essentially editors for things that come in.
Cool.
Oh.
So like,
it's still for like SIG profiling and things like that. That would still be on the marketing team. The release team, I would probably still keep those separated because they we definitely want to sort of like, make sure that they're marketed and there's coordination.
Right.
But it is a good amount of effort to actually
to write it. Yes.
Well,
I was thinking,
outside of like writing, just like even tracking the people down and getting them to work with you on writing the blog posts.
I was thinking more so editing, promotion, taking over those things, not
Mm.
necessarily writing. Right, like getting more sets of eyes on the thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So like using the writing team here to make sure it's going to be something that people want to read, right? Like that's
Yeah,
it's a
absolutely.
great technical piece of content, but like there's still intros, there's still conclusions and stuff like that, right? So
Totally. And like it still has to be framed in a way where it's interesting to the reader, not just information from the writer, which is definitely takes time.
Always going to be a problem. Yeah.
What's also really cool there is that, I think we have a bullpen of storytellers, but asking them to go kind of prospect and think up a story and go from scratch is a much heavier lift than what you're proposing. So I think this is a great way to engage people that are interested in writing, but don't have the time to put the effort in that for the main path.
Yeah, because the comms team on the release team is in charge of the blog post. This would be just hooking in, right? Like,
cool.
Let's all work together on this. And keep in mind, this is all like me spitballing at this point.
Yeah,
right.
No, totally.
Like this is me just like,
along.
Here's my ideas. I'm on as a shadow. I'm trying to make things better for everyone, right? So, I'm able to create those connections and do some work behind that.
The other general thing that like I would say we definitely want to engage with the release team more is tweeting around deadlines.
Yes.
So things like code freeze, enhancements freeze, enhancements collection, things like that. The more signal boosting that I can get, the better.
So that would be something that I would actually want to like insert into the release process to like write a tweet about this or write the series of tweets to be published on the correct dates kind of thing.
I actually had an idea for that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And honestly, like what we can do in either the tweets repo or in the SIG release repo is literally like, since this stuff is all repeated, let's just template things out.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
Because the dates always change. Yeah.
Yep. And the other thing is like a lot of these things also have a email to KDev that goes along with them. So it might be, it's just like, okay, email to KDev, grab the link, toss it in the template, tweet it out.
Go. Yeah.
This is
put the right date in it and off you go. Yeah.
I mean, and what if we just like had like a very simple script that says like that prompts you for like what is the due date for this? What is the due date for that? And then it pops like the 7 to 10 tweets that we want in the repo.
With holds and everything already established.
So there is one problem with that.
Okay.
And is that so at least for timelines and when they should go out is because the dates do sometimes they shift depending on various issues that occur during the release cycle. Like the dates that are currently published and the schedule that's published are like
tentative.
They're
wishful.
they're
and some of them
everything goes as planned.
Yes, and some of them are a bit more accurate than others, but they can shift. So sadly, it's not something that we can just like punch in a schedule right off the bat.
I was just bringing.
But that's the thing, right? Like they need to be on auto hold so that we can go back and edit if necessary, right? Like we can generate them, but we need to have that hook into the release team to be like, hey, by the way, there's this thing here that you need to put on hold at this step in the process. And that's where I was going to try and like add on to the release team, not necessarily add on, but just like remind the release team that this possibility is here now, right? Like you have this tool, it is available to you. You can use it in a way that makes sense for you. And definitely the repo and maybe scripting is the right way to do it.
Yeah. Okay. I'm hearing there's a lot of cool parts at play. The idea of like what can and can't be templated out, not necessarily templated and then runs automatically. Like I think templates are different from automation in my mind, of like automated posting versus like automated preparation. But it seems like there's a good demarcation available there. And then I guess maybe Chris, if you could kind of just sketch down like what are you seeing as the opportunities to connect? Like what are their roles and responsibilities and ours, and like, you know, list out like I would like this person in marketing to do this or be ready to do this. Like kind of get it to an actionable, outline
like,
that we can talk through.
It's going to take the whole release. So yeah, that's the plan, right? Like,
well, I mean, just from what you know so far, like it's fine if it changes, but like,
like the timeline's already like out there and established, right? So we could auto hold or auto generate those tweets. They just haven't been, done. But yeah, Bob just dropped in the chat the cates.dev/release, right? Like just reminding folks that exists would be a good thing, right? Yep. Like there's so many points of contact. That's why I volunteered to shadow, right? Like there's a lot of potential.
Yeah. That release page will update. It essentially updates once a day.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Or if there's like an immediate like rebuild or like something big, I can generate like one-off type things to do it.
That's neat.
But in general, that page should be like up to date within 24 hours of any changes of the release schedule.
Interesting. So it's entirely possible that we could send out a tweet and have to do a correction if some last minute stuff is hitting the fan and we're not plugged directly into the comms team. So I mean, that's like, where the documentation comes in.
Well, that's where tweet craft comes into play, right? Like the latest information is here, to keep an eye on this URL for updates. By the way, like the next week could be, hey, things shifted. The new date is X. Keep an eye on this URL for updates.
The other thing is like in the comms handbook, they can literally be just like in the event of a date change or deadline change, just be sure to either open an issue or notify, open a PR or something of that nature. Because whoever's on the comms team in the future will be more in the know on any of that stuff.
Right. Cool. Yeah, I'm going to work with, I just know him by his Slack handle right now, JDog, on stuff like that, right? Because he's interested in hooking in as well. So I might actually end up inviting him to this meeting at some point.
Yeah. Well, good. Thanks for the update on opportunities.
Yeah, I'm sorry to suck up so much time too. So
no, don't you dare be sorry. That's exactly why we're here. Is like figure out how to connect dots across teams. So that's perfect. It's definitely inspiring to update the README on the tweet GitHub Actions thing, so that like it's framed towards people other than ourselves, because we'll probably use it sometimes, but I think this is like where other teams would benefit from knowing it exists and us directing them there. So let's keep an eye on these and keep bringing up ideas.
Will do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. I wanted to share, this is really well aligned. So I'm just gonna bring up an old presentation from when we were kicking off this group. The thing that I showed Paris to kind of give an idea. So anyway, I want to take a moment. I won't like fully present this to you for all. We'll leave it in the casual version. But initially when we were putting together this idea, like the multi-channel comms came from this presentation of like asking about what are we trying to do with this marketing group and who are we trying to communicate with. But really the thing that stuck is this, that we needed some categorization of different types of comms that at different levels of importance. And we're trying to smush it into a lot of different channels. And the goal being like the smushy channels like all ultimately connect with each other eventually. So this part, like, what does it mean to have feedback appreciated or to be in case you missed it stat? Like that's all in our GitHub repo now. But what I wanted to start to get to is an understanding of what our bots are doing and why. So I just started sketching this out here of, I grabbed a cute image and took we've got a Slack bot that can talk to other Slack channels, and we've got a tweet bot that then has a scheduler on top of it. But I've been feeling this kind of space of like we're a little floaty on like how does a user's action end up like connecting the dots from our team or for ourselves of like, hey, we are going to send to KDev, and like Bob just said, we'll take that URL and then we'll add it to the tweet bot. And then after we schedule in the tweet bot, we'll maybe put it into the Slack announcements bot and send it to multiple channels. And one of those channels connects to Discourse. Trying to think all the way through this flow is what's been on my mind. And I just wanted to socialize that idea of, as we talk about these channels and these tools that we're building, if you can think through the sort of the story we're telling ourselves of how the pieces fit together, so that as we continue to iterate on bots, they kind of serve a bigger purpose of things fitting together. I started to write out stories, not like in a strict product management type way, but just like, what's the story I'm telling myself of what somebody's doing with this stuff? And yeah, just want to get this out there for inspiration and relink in our notes, and see anyone does anything kind of come up, or questions or thoughts based on just thinking through bots?
I know that when Rajula put up the Twitter bot, we had discussed how I would help out with the README and kind of add in some of that detail. And then we've been kind of discussing how people are going to use it. So I haven't really touched that in a while. But you talking about that reminded me that I want to go back into that README and add in some more detail about kind of the use case, kind of the storyline and how it works. So that's just something it reminded me of.
Great. Yeah, and I bet people aren't gonna like find that repo and like, oh, you know what I want to do right now? Send a tweet. So it's like I'm not so worried about that README. I'm actually really motivated by like Chris working with the release team and being like, hey, can I tag you into writing a tweet through here? Here's how to open a PR and I'll review it for you. So that they can see firsthand with Chris holding their hand that this thing works. And those kind of touch points, I think, will end up leading to it being used a lot. So
yeah, I'm thinking that like as we start to learn how people are using it, we can update the README, and that's kind of makes our efforts scalable, so that when we start getting new people into this process, we can point to that and be like, here's what you need to know. So I figure it'll kind of develop over time.
Something else that I want to do, like it's on my to-do list, is on the contributor site, essentially offer a index of services. So we have a whole slew of things like, I need a Slack channel, I need a Netlify website, I need to send contributor comms, I need to do something like that. And this information is scattered all over the place. And so just having essentially that one index page that people can go to sort of like, see what's available should help improve a lot of the discovery of this stuff.
Yeah.
Just from a Google discoverability of it, yes. And then let alone the community side of it, having the one-stop shop of an index of I need X, where do I go? That's awesome.
Yeah, the one problem we have is still just like socializing, getting the contributor site actually out more.
Yeah, sure.
But
yeah,
that's a separate issue.
Yeah, if you make it, they won't come. Like the field of dreams of the internet is hard, but if we keep adding value to it, and
do we have like snippets that we can use to like tweet and socialize these things, right? Like I feel like that could be helpful.
We have the technology.
Right.
Look at the site, summarize it, add a tweet.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm kind of hoping that like as we add more like blog posts and things like that, we'll be able to get more, people go into it. We have a couple like upcoming opportunities. One is actually like on the list of topics, so I won't dive into that necessarily right now. But there are some things that like have been surfacing where having information about stuff for contributing would be very useful. Like, how do I get a like? One was just like, I have an idea for a feature. What do I do? And that process like is not very discoverable right now. So like and has a lot of other like little issues that aren't documented like in the enhancements repo. So we wanted to write something about that sort of like overall journey and then blog that one. I think Lori was actually spearheading that.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds great, Bob. And I think, just to throw it out there, it doesn't have to come to a conclusion today, but if you want us in this working group to think more strategically on how, like, to pivot from like this, hey, let's try to blog wherever, to like, can we do a concentrated effort for the next 3 months on like just helping contributor site and people get used to the contributor site? Like that is a meaningful pivot that gives us purpose. Like, so just know you can ask for that, and we can talk about what it looks like to do that.
It might maybe not quite right now, just because like the content is still a little bare. But as we at least get a few more things on there, like one of the big ones that'll be happening hopefully with the next like 2 months is the new contributor workshop will be on there. And so for me, like
cool.
that's a nice, very big milestone where we could then, toss something on there.
What about meet our contributor series? Should we put that there as well? I mean, we have been talking about this in APEC meeting a lot, but haven't finalized it.
MOC is actually on there under the events page.
Okay, that's good.
Or are you talking about tweets and things like that?
No, I'm saying we are planning to run a blog series for Meet Our Contributors, specifically from APEC
I
point
get,
of view. Like,
I get it now.
Yeah, so that could be an addition there. I don't know. I mean, it would be better on the Kubernetes blog or here, but yeah.
Well, why not both? Why can't it land on the contributor site first and then go over to the Kubernetes blog?
Yeah.
They've done that before. So
yeah, and I can tell you from my day job that there isn't a recycling an article even as much as like 70-80% of it, or doing a full syndication of it to another site doesn't harm your SEO anymore. That's an older school thing that used to impact people if you copy and paste the exact content. But if you link back to the original article through syndication, like Google, the algorithm understands like, okay, this is a legit connection point. We do that with a lot of success across our ecosystem. And I like to think about it like use 70-80% of it and like add a audience specific window on it. So like why, like, okay, so general blog person I think of as a Kubernetes user, contributor blog we think explicitly a contributor. So like what is their language and difference there, but overall the same content.
Makes sense to me.
Yep, sounds good.
Cool. All right, let's move right along. We've got some great topics and we're running out of time. So issue triage changes. What's up, Bob?
Okay, so there's going to be a Kubernetes-wide change that's going to be rolling out soon. I need one more sign-off, but at this point it will probably be on like Monday or Tuesday. But it is essentially a set of new labels and how they're used in the Kubernetes repo. I can link details on it and so sort of like rambling about it. but
Yeah.
that is something we definitely need to essentially socialize quite a bit more, just so people are aware of it.
So let's talk about key channels real quick. So we've got, KDev email is our primary one.
Yep. I have the email draft someplace.
Okay, so
Too many tabs.
Totally. But like Bob to send out KDev, like you're gonna ultimately do the send out, so you don't need help there. But if you want eyes on copy editing, you can DM me and I'm happy to take a look. So Slack outreach, still don't quite have this down. So this is actually a fun exercise to think through. Like, there's a big thing. What do we do with it? How do we, how do we handle it? So Slack, we have a bot that'll help us post to multiple channels, but really we need a message and to know what channels we want to post to. So what, anyone have thoughts on what that should look like?
For this, it would probably just be the Kubernetes dev channel in Slack. Well, more SIGs and everyone should know about it. I'd just be hesitant about dumping it directly in there because it's also sort of dependent. Like some of the stuff, the SIGs are sort of implementing their own workflows around these labels that we're going to be pushing out.
Okay.
But Kubernetes dev in Slack would definitely still be appropriate.
Yeah. And do we have any conventions around @heres or @channels?
They are not allowed.
Just explicitly not allowed for the sake of sanity.
Yeah. Slack admins can do them, and they are done only under very specific circumstances.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, it was done once in general with like 30,000 people in it, and it actually brought down Slack.
Yeah.
Well, good for us.
I was there.
Way to be beta testing. Okay, so yeah, I guess I'm gonna throw an idea out there and tell me if it's way off. But like, what if we post into Kubernetes dev and then have a post that's like, hey, this is a big impact, and make sure to talk to your SIG about it, and it links to the KDev post, but then we use the bot to send that to every SIG.
I don't know about sending that to at least every SIG channel right now. Cool. I think there would honestly probably be a pushback from most of the SIG leads dumping it in all their channels. So that is something actually we should send a email to the leads at Kubernetes.io list to see if people if they would be okay with that sort of thing.
Yeah, I hear you.
Just do a 1-by-1 approval process kind of deal, or?
Well, I think I'd probably want to throw it into a type of survey so that we have some statistics on it. Like, would you think this is a value add or a deter, or be frustrating if you saw this post? Because our goal is to value add, and and also if there's one person that's like absolutely not, but then 98% say that's great. Like I don't want that one person to.
The survey, I really like that idea.
Okay.
The other thing, sort of going back to the issue triage thing and announcement, it's also like tweet and then Kubernetes Dev Slack channel. We will probably wind up with a follow-up blog post to sort of tie everything together, essentially, how walking through the process of actually using that sort of thing. So linking all those together in some coherent way, or at least tweeting or something to sort of do something.
I love that's like so much of the energy sometimes. Something to do something. Okay, so to make sure I'm not missing where we're at. So Slack, you're going to post something to Kubernetes dev. That's it. We'll leave that there. We need more information before we start banging down the doors of anybody else. Yeah, and then Twitter, what can we do to help on Twitter?
Essentially just, I can draft the message if you want, but it's like, a new Kubernetes wide workflow change. You should know about this essentially.
Yeah.
Something's
Cool.
changing.
Yep.
In Caslin, do you have any thoughts on? So we'll get the initial message. Like, I guess, do we have anything that's easy for you when it comes to like repeating messages over and over for a set amount of time? Or is that just kind of like hey, Caslin, please repeat this 35 times and you keep a tally?
Oh, good.
Yeah, thus far we haven't had a lot of that. Like it's something that I just kind of consider as I go through things. It might be something that we need to think about in our process as we start to kind of customize our automation to our use case. Since we've been talking about how we're going to handle the scheduling, we might also start thinking about if there's any automation we could do or that we would want to look into for this. Right now it's manual and just kind of let me know in the PR or something and I will set myself reminders and make it happen.
People have been tagging me too, so I mean, people aren't just tagging Caslin, which is good, but it really is a lot of Caslin right now. So
I'm sorry, it's also sort of like fallen onto like we don't have a better way of handling this.
No, that's fine. I mean, that's partly. I mean, that's kind of the biggest goal in mind for me is like the huge opportunity of like kind of finding the intricacies here and building a system that doesn't feel like so like ad hoc all the time. But in the meantime, it's kind of fun. We got each other's back. And for me, it's actually more confusing because if multiple people get asked the same thing, like who's got the next action is always tricky. So I don't know. As long as you two, Chris and Caslin, feel like you're talking to each other enough where it doesn't get too messy. Also, the world won't end if 2 tweets with the same topic go out. Like it's Twitter. Like the scrolls
just an
keep
update.
scrolling.
No, we meant to do that.
Cool. Okay, that makes sense to me. Great. Thanks for working through that with us, Bob. And I'll take one of that action to think through it, and I'll review it with that. If you need help with copy edit, shoot it our way. My way directly is great. Unless other people want to be involved, I'll just take that action. But what's up?
Just the next item on the list is also me. I was just gonna say so you remember the issues that we had with like adding things to milestones?
Oh yeah. It's a pain in the.
No longer I just need a list of GitHub handles of the people that should be able to do that within the marketing team, and I can take care of that with one PR.
Ooh, I love that. And can you maybe give us a brief heads up of like how should our team be thinking about milestones, like in helping you?
In general, it's just like it's stuff you want to get done within the next release cycle. Things have been a little weird this year just because 119 was extended. Normally it's about a quarter. So essentially it's just like, what do you want to try and accomplish this quarter? And this, even if something isn't tagged with a milestone and you do it and close the issue or PR, if you can go back and tag it with a milestone anyway. This is mostly just so when you go back into like the repo and look, it gives you the list of everything that was actually done. One of the things that's honestly been kind of a problem in the past is it's like what did you actually do this quarter? And by being able to just like, here's our milestone, here's literally everything that got done during that period, just helps with like external visibility.
Yeah, comms. I love it. Okay, moving along. I'm gonna be a little pushy because of time. Caslin, what's up?
Yeah, we've already been talking about this the whole time, so that's awesome.
Perfect.
But the one thing I was going to mention is the tweet that went out about the APAC meeting. When it first got PR'd, it was slightly off on the times for the meeting. And I tried to check that, but I didn't do a very good job of it. So I learned a bit about where I should check for that kind of thing. But it ended up going out with the wrong times. So I tweeted a reply to let people know what the actual times were, which seems to have gone fine. But I wanted to let people know that, like, things happen, issues with tweets will happen. So in terms of corrections, main option that I've talked about with Chris and Paris before is to send a reply to the tweet rather than deleting the tweet. And wanted to let people know about that. And if anybody had any thoughts that they wanted to add to our process thinking there, you're welcome.
Great. Thanks, Caslin. You have my full support. That makes sense to respond so that, people don't feel like there's ghosts in the system here. Like, they saw the tweet, okay, there's a follow-up that corrects it.
Yep. Especially
Great.
with things like that, it's pretty minor. I'm sure we will find all kinds of issues with tweets as we go along, which there may be other solutions to, I don't know. But that is kind of our baseline right now, is if there's an issue with a tweet, generally I will tweet a reply. I've also had one where I messed up the @ I was adding someone in it, and that got messed up in the tweet, so it didn't actually @ them, so I did a reply with the actual @ so.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Same. Yeah, that's how I like to do it. Okay. Well, good. We had enough time to come to the end and breathe. Good. I think, like, going through any of the rest of the usual things would be a little time consuming. So this will be a action for each of us to do after the fact. I guess the one thing I was looking at, okay, I saw one PR was opened in contributor tweets, and that has been approved.
It's all approved. It's on hold because they want it to go out in the first week of October. So.
Oh, great.
Yep.
Awesome.
So currently I have a reminder on my calendar just to remind me to go check it and release the hold.
Yeah. So sorry for the noise. There's a raccoon in a bag underneath my table. By raccoon, I mean feline. Awesome. Okay, that makes sense. Good. Anyone else need any help or have open questions in issue form that they need reviewed? Cool. Sounds like a plan. I think with that in mind, I think we wrapped up just in time. Good. All right. Well, just looking over the action items that we had, it seems like really I assigned one to myself, which is the only one. So I'll follow up with you, Bob, and help along with the new labels. But other than that, I think we're good to go. Hope you all have a great weekend in whatever you're doing. And yeah, thanks for being here on a Friday morning or evening, your time. See y'all. Bye from Josie.
Yeah.
Smush. She's not into it.